Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's some deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
Yeah.
You know.
He's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
I know.
How did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors.
It's that time of year. It's that time of year where we all need to be thinking about, do we have everything we need to hit the woods? Chances are you don't, and if you think you do, you probably could use some more. So how about you go over to thehuntworks.com and check out all the incredible products these guys are carrying. This is a great family, local store. Dan and Steve Dunnigan, a couple hardworking sumbitches. They are now carrying archery equipment, everything from bows to arrows to broadheads, quivers, you name it. So on top of all the great tree stands and box blinds that they're carrying, they're now a full-on archery dealer, and really recommend that you check these guys out for your next big purchase. Head over to thehuntworks.com to see what they've got for sale, or if you're local in the Rochester area, head on over to their store in East Rochester on Dispatch Drive and check them out. They are on social media, The Huntworks, and also online, like I said. And if you purchase anything online, you can use promo code FEEDIN'Em to get 5% off. And that's FEED, FEEDIN, INUM, 5% off. Feed 'em.
Hey everybody, Big Willie with you, and I got an episode for you this week that's a fun one. We were in Chicopee, Massachusetts for the Northeast Big Buck Club annual banquet this past Saturday, the 20th of July. And on this episode, I'll have with me my brother Tim, who was a recipient of an award for a buck he shot back in 2019. You're going to hear that story. And also have my other brother Chris, and Chris's son, my nephew David, came in from Boston. So he came up to join us, and my nephew, my sister's boy, Sean, he rode along with us. So we had a crew, and of course we had Tim's wife, Rachel, so she was there with us. But we had a great time, and when we got back to the hotel room, the banquet ended at 8, which was probably a good thing because it started at 1. We had, I think we rolled in there about 2 or 2:30. We got held up on 90 with an accident there in the Berkshires, so we were a little bit late coming in, but it was okay, and it was a great event. You'll hear all about that. So I've got this episode for you. I hope you enjoy. And then I've got another episode that I recorded actually back on May 15th with Ben Williams when we were at the Upper Genesee Aerofest down in Wellsville, the NDA event, and we had a great time there. And I apologize to you and to Ben for not getting that episode out quicker. I have been very consumed this year with building a barn at my camp, and we did all the site work with my brothers, and getting that built and getting everything done. And we took down several very large pines to put the barn where the pines were. So I thought it'd be cool to mill all those pine logs and make planks to put on the inside of the barn for the interior of the barn. So I am in the middle of that. We are currently, as I speak, it's July 23rd. I borrowed a sawmill from my buddy. He was going to Africa on a hunting safari for a month. So he said, well, you can take the sawmill for the month of July because I'll be gone in Africa. So I started with about 50 logs. I got 24 to go, and so the month is more than half over. So between weather and other commitments and mowing lawns and et cetera, the sawmilling, we've made good progress, but we're not done. So having a blast doing that, and I'll probably do a podcast on that. It's a whole new dimension. I've never done anything like this, so it's a lot of fun, and I'm learning a lot. So we'll have more content coming as we get rolling here. My food plots have been neglected. I did some work on them back in June. I think I did some seeding and some roller crimping. Totally impressed with the roller crimping. We got a used roller crimper we bought from Ben Williams, and so I used that and then took it out to Billy and Dallas and the gang out there in Wyoming County, and they used it as well. So very excited to get that going this year and using that. Very impressed with how it worked out. So, but without further ado, we'll get into the episode and look forward to getting back in touch with everybody. We got about 7 weeks to go, and we'll be in the September doe only if you have that in your areas, which I do. And but we'll be getting some episodes back out, especially as I get this wrapped up with my sawmill work. So enjoy the episode. Thanks for tuning in. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 205, maybe 206 of Pert Near Outdoors. I'm your guest host, Big Willie, and today we're coming to you live from, hold on a minute. Hey Tim, take the mic and turn it, twist it.
Twist it which way?
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, you got to have it pointed.
So
Tim is very much a novice. He doesn't even know how to post a video to Facebook. We are.
I can hear you right now.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, we're good.
I didn't know we were live yet. Sorry.
I know that's Billy always does that. I typically don't, but he just all of a sudden he starts recording and away we go. So hey,
pretty much what
we're
you
in,
did.
Yeah, so I did that. But we're in Chicopee, Massachusetts. We just got done with the Northeast Big Buck Club annual awards banquet, which was a great time. None of us have ever been before, and we are all here because of the outstanding buck that Tim harvested in what year, Tim?
It's 2019.
2019 was
yeah.
a muzzleloader hunt.
Yep.
And there was a buck that Tim and Chris and Sean really kind of hunt that area mainly, but they called him Hercules, and really like a superb buck. So we got an email from Tim, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks ago or so, that he's like, hey guys, FYI, or I guess it was a text or something, but he's like, I'm being recognized, or I'm receiving an award from the Northeast Big Buck Club in Massachusetts, Springfield, at their annual awards banquet. If anybody wants to go, Rachel and I are going. So right away we're all like, hey, geez, this is not like every day this happens, right? So you tell us about your award. The award was for?
It was the largest non-typical whitetail killed in New York. Harvested in New York with a muzzleloader.
Yep.
And but I had to make sure they understood. I didn't kill it in 2023.
Right.
It was killed in 2019. When they said it doesn't matter if you submit it and it's larger than any other deer harvested in 2023, you'll still get the award. Yeah. And they actually told me that no other deer, if I understood correctly, no other deer was entered for muzzleloader New York.
Yeah.
At all in 2023. I'm kind of curious to look back and see, what was entered for 22 and 2019, the year I actually harvested.
You may have actually shot the biggest one in 19.
There was 2 for muzzleloader, but they were typical, not non-typical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was it was a pretty cool surprise because I didn't even know that I was actually entered. And I got an email and a text message. Well, no, I'm sorry. An email and a phone call from Joe. I can't think of his last name.
His name's on that plaque. Where's the plaque? What's Joe's last name?
I want to say Chippendale, but that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, Chapdelaine.
Chapdelaine. Yeah, I have
Chippendale, same thing.
a pronunciation problem, but
He did look pretty buff.
So I missed a phone call, random phone call, which we all get, and I didn't know what it was, and I got an email and like, basically, hey, congratulations, you got recognizing you for the largest non-typical, whitetail in New York with a muzzle loader. We're inviting you to the banquet. Would you like to come? Let us know. And had a couple attachments, and I'm like, very, caught off guard and
Maybe
blown
a little
away and stuff.
skeptical of it.
Yeah, it's just you're really surprised. So I end up calling the guy back and said, yeah, I go, well, to be clear, I killed it in 20. I talked to Chris later. I'm like, I killed it a couple of years ago, and actually it was 2019.
Yeah, we're like, how does this count for last year? Both of us were confused when he called me.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure there was no misunderstanding. It was harvested in 2019, and Joe said that it was entered, it was scored, it was entered, and it's largest than any other deer that was entered that year in that category. So you're up for the award. And I'm like, all right, well, that's pretty cool. And because I didn't even know I was the guy who measured it. I didn't know he was with the Northeast Big Buck Club or that it got entered.
I think Ben Williams measured it.
Yeah.
Because I put a post out on social media, and Ben replied, "Congratulations, I measured that buck." So
yeah.
So Ben must be a official scorer for the Northeast Big Buck Club.
Yeah, it was really pretty cool. And like I said, it just totally took me off guard because obviously for whatever it was from, I forget when he measured it, if it was at one of the...
It was a Pert Near event.
It was a Pert Near event.
Windy Brew. The brewery.
Shedfest, right?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Shedfest.
I think it was a beer release.
No? It was a beer, when we do the summer beer release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had Frank and Beans there, and we had Hercules there, and Ben was there, and he did some scoring and brought some bucks as well.
Because I remember it was very hot that day, and he was pretty cool and measured it. It was the end of the day. I'm like, hey, before I go, do you mind scoring it and whatnot? So he did it. And because I didn't have it scored. I've had it for, 3 years anyways, 4 years. And I don't want to say I don't care, but I wasn't concerned with it scored. I was just so impressed and so happy we got this deer off of the property that we grew up on and we worked on, and we worked the property with Dad. That used to be a bean field.
Yeah, I remember pulling beans out there when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and after hard work, you now own.
Yeah, that was 40, 45 years ago. I started thinking about it today. I'm like, good God, that was a long time ago. I hate to think about the years.
Lifetime ago. Yeah.
But it's pretty cool, and that's what makes it so cool. Is that was, it's family. Probably, and I've recently purchased that property in the last 8-10 months. But we had permission to be there. We hunted it, and
our whole life, really. We were kids.
And we were
used
working
to go out there duck hunting. And
yeah. And
do you remember that one year that it was so wet that we couldn't get the beans out of there?
Yeah.
And Dad had us pull them by hand.
Yeah, we had to pull them by hand. Yeah.
You remember that? We pulled them by hand and put them in piles.
Yeah.
And then waited till the ground froze, and then he had us pick them up with a pitchfork and a hay wagon, and put all the beans. Like you take a pile of viney kidney beans, put them on the hay wagon. Then you take them to the barn, and he's like, "All right, now pitch them into the barn."
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, they were stacked.
And they wouldn't come apart. It was like it was some sort of like form of torture or something.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, and I do remember.
We did
he said
we
didn't get to harvest the majority of that field. It's such a big, kind of a funny shaped field. But if I remember correctly, Dad said we got a better price for those beans than we got any other year, but we didn't get to harvest them all.
Yeah.
But we busted butt.
Is that the year we got the TV? He bought us a colored TV.
I think so.
He did. He come home. It was a big surprise. All you kids closed your eyes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, you got the Zenith.
Zenith
TV.
colored. Bought it at Paul Jones's place over there towards East Avon.
Yeah, it was a huge treat to get a color TV.
We're like, are you kidding me? A 19-inch colored TV? Are you? Holy cow!
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I remember him saying the bean harvest was so good, the kidney bean harvest.
Yeah.
And we got that color TV, and it was like, it was just such a treat.
Yeah, with new rabbit ears. Oh my God!
Yeah. Yep.
We got all 5 channels.
Yeah, that was like they had to be. They had to be 76 or 77.
Yeah.
It was mid 70s.
Yeah, I think it was around 75 that same year. Dad used some of that money to buy a new van. Remember, he bought that van.
The Ford van.
Yeah, a lot of things. We were We were living high on the hog there in 1975.
Yeah, that was that Ford Club Wagon Chateau.
That's right.
That we took to Florida.
If I'm not mistaken, you ended up owning that.
Yeah, I did. Yep. A lot of stories with that van.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But at any rate, long history with this buck, really. So before we talk about the banquet, why don't we talk a little bit more about the buck? So Chris, maybe Chris wants to start us off, because I remember Chris had recently taken up goose hunting.
Yeah.
And that's where you first stumbled across Hercules.
Yeah, so I had taken an interest in goose hunting, probably around 2018 or so. I had gone with a friend from work, and I was curious about hunting geese. So basically, anybody who knows anything about goose hunting is there's an early September season. So the month of September, you can hunt geese, and normally it's the resident geese that have not flown south. So, I mean, I don't even think I owned decoys. This is how long ago it was. Like I said, it was 2019.
You were sitting in a soybean field.
So yeah, I went out to that big field past, what we call Frieda's Woods, and I sat. There was a big flock of geese out there, and I sat against a big tree on the corner of the woods, and I'm looking at the field, and I had my 12 gauge, and it was kind of raining. I'm just hanging out, and I look off to my right behind me, and about 200 yards away was the edge of the swamp. And, first like 3 or 4 doe came out. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I watched the doe and they...
Is it the swamp way down back?
It's the swamp by the pond, the big pond.
Okay.
So I look behind me and I can see the pond, the edge of the pond, and a bunch of doe come out of there. And they head south. They walk right past me. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I saw some deer, and I'm chilling out. And then, I don't know, 20 minutes later, I look over my right shoulder. I look back to the north towards the swamp and the thicket, and I see this buck, which, we named Hercules. But I see this buck come out, and it was just a deer with a crazy amount of antlers and extremely tall antlers. And I remember thinking, I was just in shock. I'm like, I've never seen a buck this big out here on Briggs Road especially. It was huge. And so I grabbed my cell phone, and the buck actually came out, and he was kind of wary. He went right by me, probably about 50 yards. And I'm taking pictures, and then I took probably like a 20-second video. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't believe the amount it was freakishly large compared to the head and the body of the deer. And he basically ran south, ran past me. And after that, I called Tim. I think I got done hunting. I'm sure I texted him immediately, and I'm like, dude, you won't believe the buck I just saw.
You sent it in the group chat, and we were all in disbelief.
Yeah. I mean, and Sean's here on the podcast with us, our nephew Sean, and my son David's here as well. But Sean was included because he hunts that property with us, and I was like, hey, there's this buck I just saw. You guys wouldn't believe it. And honestly, we all know how we go as hunters. You get pessimistic. I'm like, it's probably the only time I'm going to see this buck. I'm like, he's so big, and he could go to a different land. I'm like. He was basically at the southern edge of that 50 or 55 acres that we hunt. So I'm like, we probably won't even see this buck during actual deer season. But, we were all excited. So then we move on, get past September, move on to season. And then I think we actually captured a picture of him with one of our game cameras.
During bow season, we had a bachelor group of him, the buck I shot, and then another buck. And that was the biggest buck I had ever shot. And he was in there with that one. We only had 2 pictures of him, then he just disappeared after that.
Where was that?
Never saw him again.
Where was
that? It was out front by the tractor, right?
Yep,
it was actually
right by
parked the tractor.
Oh, really?
The old
Yep.
H.
Yeah.
Yeah, the front of the property, we actually got the pictures. So, then we're like, okay, he's still around. And we were just joking around. I was like, this buck is so big. And, I'm like, oh, we got to call him Hercules. He's just huge, And it's not like we name every deer, but this one just stood out. He was so
Matter of fact,
exceptional.
we never name a deer. But
No. But this buck was exceptional.
Yeah.
So then we go on, and all of us are like, man, maybe we'll see this buck. And we really didn't see him. And then another guy who hunts in the neighborhood, Tim knows him. I think Jimmy told Tim that he had game pictures of the same buck, which was actually a couple miles away. Yeah. I don't know if you want to take it from there, what Jimmy told you.
Well, he had pictures around it because he showed me. I think we talked about it, and he shared the pictures, and you could see the pictures of him walking away. He's just so unique. He's not super wide, but his tines are super tall, like crazy tall, 13, 14-inch tines, very unique. So, but I was going to back up 1 second. I don't know if you guys remember we had pictures of him, and you saw him in 2019 early. 2018, the last day
I was
of
going to say,
muzzleloader.
did anybody see him previous?
I think you might have saw him
2019
the
or
year
2018,
previous.
last Sunday of muzzleloader season, I was out, and I was at property that borders ours, and at 8:30 in the morning, and here comes a doe trotting across a winter wheat field, and here comes this buck, and it was Hercules, and it's 8 in the morning, and they're going across the winter wheat field trotting along, and this obviously this buck was massive. He's tall, he's huge. I'm like, holy crap. And I tried to draw down on them, but they were probably 125 yards away and moving, and it was on a knoll, and it was shooting towards another side road. It just wasn't a safe shot. And I had the muzzleloader, this one shot. I just didn't feel it was safe. So I passed on it, and then I was instantly texting Chris. I said, there is a huge buck headed your way.
I remember that, yeah.
Now, that year before, was he roughly the same size as he was the year after? Did he grow? Did he surprise you the second time you saw him?
Well, he definitely surprised me the second time I saw him. But
I remember you telling me
that
you were shocked, like how big he came across the cornfield. I know where you were hunting.
Yeah, because I was in that piece to the east of us. But he was just so big. I mean, because I didn't see him close. He's 125 yards away, but in a winter wheat field, it's like crossing a golf course. And it was just tall tines and stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. And this is, I don't know, what is it, first, second week in December? It's the end of muzzleloader. Yeah. And he's following a doe. Not running her, but like, after her, trotting along quick at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, you see, I think your mic is off, Bill.
Yeah, that was in 2018.
Yeah, that was the end of 2018, and that was the first I saw of him for sure. Then the following year, he just was staying in the area, and we got pictures.
Well, ironically, he did the same thing. He left, but he only came back for a hot doe during muzzleloader in the same area.
Yes, yeah. So you had trail cam pictures out front where we parked the tractor and the brush hog, and Chris saw him goose hunting, and then. You want me to turn that off, Chris?
Yeah, I don't want that picking up on the podcast.
A little background music. So, so then to fast forward here, we'd had trail cam pictures of him. Like, we probably won't ever see him. And then one of our neighbors there, Jimmy Farrell, had pictures of him a couple miles away. And but to speed up the story, I think I shot a buck with my bow, and it was a pretty decent buck. Not a giant, but it was a good buck. And I think I had a really good archery season. So we had. That
was a 10-point, I think you shot.
Was that that was a good.
That was a real nice buck.
Yeah, it was.
That same year or an 18?
Yeah, you don't want to downplay this.
Yeah, don't downplay the 10-point. That was a beautiful buck.
Yeah, that was. Well, thank you. There was, but it was a good buck. And I remember sitting there. And I was like, I'm only going to shoot. I'm like, oh, Chris and Sean, they haven't shot a buck yet. I'm not going to shoot something. Young or immature. I'll wait, and then, anyways, I'm in my stand, second weekend of the season. We're already past open day. Two doe come out in front of me. I've got a real super thick piece of property behind me, overlooking goldenrod, and I got a few trails cut in it. But two doe come out, and they're trotting along, and they stop, and they turn around and look from where they came. I'm like, well, that's a telltale sign.
Sure.
So I'm looking, I got my muzzleloader, and I'm looking through branches in the hedgerow, the big overgrown hedgerow, and I just see, I see a deer coming, but I just see like tines, like tall, I don't know how to describe it, but it was like, holy shit. I go, what is this coming? And he comes out, and he wasn't running. He kind of like walking, like fast walking out, and then he stopped out in front of me, and it was Hercules. I'm like, holy crap. And then I'm going, damn, did I screw up? Not because I choose to carry a muzzleloader. And
so that was not during muzzleloader. That was
regular season.
Yeah, regular season. You chose to carry a muzzleloader.
Yeah. It's I like the I say the challenge of it, you have one shot. It's like archery, one shot,
yeah.
you know, make it count. So he came out and he stopped. I was waiting for him to get in a little better opening, and I'm like, well, you know, you can see kill zone because sometimes I'm too hard on myself. I wait too long to wait for the absolutely perfect shot. But so I ended up shooting. I got on him. I had a little shooting stick. He wasn't that far. He was only 70 yards, I'm guessing. So I shoot, and cloud of smoke. And I think I see him drop. Anybody who shoots muzzleloader much, you know, there's smoke, you see stuff, but you're not positive what you see. And the smoke clears, and I see nothing. You know, I don't see a tail. I don't see anything at all, the goldenrod. So I climbed down on the stand. Well, I think I waited, and I'm looking. I reload. I was smart enough to reload. And then I think Chris texted me, said, hey, somebody shot. Was that you? I'm like, yes. And he's like, what'd you shoot at? And like, I think I shot him.
Yeah.
He's like, cool. I go, I shot him. And there's something to that effect. And it was Hercules.
I was like, no way. Holy cow.
Yeah. So I ended up reloading. I was nervous and practically shaking. It was so cool. I'm like adrenaline was like going crazy. But I couldn't see anything. There's like goldenrod, and I'm like, I don't know, but I know where he
was
last
standing,
was.
right?
So,
Yeah.
So I got down out of the tree, and there's a story behind that, but but I got down the tree and ended up.
Would that story include, you know,
A bathroom call?
Yeah, bathroom call. Yeah, it's well put.
Coffee hits you.
Yeah, pretty much.
The
I think
excitement,
nerves hit. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to.
So we can, okay. So that happens.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's too much information, but it was. That's how
part of the
excited.
story.
It's how typically. It's not unusual for you to celebrate a kill that way.
Not me personally. No, it's not unusual. No. So yeah. So yeah, it's probably weird and odd, maybe to some people. But anyways, true story. Yeah. So I go over. I start walking over, and I get to where he was, and he was just. One shot dropped him, and right, you know, high up in the shoulder, that scapula area where that cluster, like literally just freaking
piled him,
dropped him. I mean, just you know, as a hunter, you want the most ethical, you know, best shot you can do, and I was just
clean, quick,
efficient. You owe it to the animal to have that best shot you can do, and then it was almost like almost emotional.
I was going to say, what were your first feelings walking up on it? Because that's just...
Yeah, and it's weird because to speak it is maybe sounds weird, but with the deer, we knew it was there. We saw it, and I saw it at the end of the season. And the big thing is it's on property I grew up on. I've been out there for the last 45 years or whatever. And now you're hunting a buck that that's people will pay to hunt an animal of that level and that caliber.
Totally.
And I just successfully hunted it. And I was, hunting is it's skill and you got to be out there, but there is an element of luck.
There is. Yeah.
Right? You can sit out there. I've had seasons that were bad luck and I had seasons that are good luck.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to control. You do the best you can. And so I truly understand I was lucky to have that opportunity. But, but to actually harvest that deer, having a great shot on it and dropped it and like, holy cow, it was like almost a touch emotional, like, family,
I can imagine,
family property, biggest buck of my life, it was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, probably the best, hunt and buck I'll ever get. I mean, unless I shoot one bigger on the same property,
Yeah.
I mean, I go to, other states that offer, trophy whitetails and stuff, but it's different when you have it in your backyard. Like, holy crap, look at the quality of the deer that we have.
I mean, the special thing about Lyman, you guys have mentioned it many times, is that, from the time, I'm trying to think how old I was when we moved there, but we must have moved there in the mid-'60s, I'm thinking, late 60s, 67
I think it was
or so.
right before Chris was born, which was 69. So, probably 68, 69, I think we moved there. Yeah.
And, from that point on, I mean, we were raised there, born and raised there, running around out there. We ice skated out there. We trapped out there. We hunted out there. We
to go back to what you're saying about the luck of shooting not only that buck, but you downplay it as well. The next year, you shot the the offspring of that same buck. It's identical.
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
thing in almost the same spot.
Yeah, between that stand and the other stand, I don't know if they're even 100 yards apart.
Right.
And I had some real good luck with archery.
Was that a bow kill the second year?
Yeah.
Or the following year?
Yeah.
That was.
I'm trying to remember that. That was a hell of a buck.
That was a 9-point, I think it was, or something.
It was literally it was identical minus the split off at the G2.
Yeah.
Well, that was a buck. I think Colton was with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was mentoring my wife's cousin's kid to hunt, and we heard the pop when you shot, and we could hear the hit. And that was like mid-October. It was not that late in season.
Yeah, that was early-ish, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you were right across the field from us, and I told Colton, I go, Tim just shot a buck, and I go, it's a nice buck because Tim wouldn't shoot one this early unless it was nice.
Yeah, it was,
that was a beautiful deer.
Yeah, that was a good shot.
I mean, not level Hercules, but it was a hell of a nice deer.
Yeah,
like, really nice.
Yeah, way too nice. Because
I mean, it was the same genes, just
you could tell.
Well,
the genetics.
Yeah, and where the beams come around and they misaligned a little bit in their height with it. Yeah, just the bloodlines and the genetics have
stayed there really
crazy. They've gotten so good, and I don't know what it is out there. I think it's improved everywhere.
Well, I think
the quality
I
of the
think
deer,
some of it's age. I just don't. We were talking about that on the way up.
Yeah.
Chris and Sean wrote and I rode up together, and we were talking about the fact that that place just doesn't. The whole property, the whole area doesn't get hunted as hard as it used to. I mean, guys used to just bang them down. And I think the deer are getting some age under them, and you look at the bucks that we're killing.
Yeah.
Everything from the stuff that, Billy and Jimmy's. I mean, we brought a lot of nice bucks. You look at what came through our shop last year.
Mm-hmm.
All
those
we
nice
all cut
bucks,
together, obviously. So we're
right.
But I mean,
well, within a 1 year time period of Briggs Road, it was the most insane year I've ever seen in my life. You shot the 10-point, you downplayed it. I shot the biggest buck of my life. You shot the biggest buck of your life. You had a really good buck that year.
I think I did. Yeah, I can't remember.
Is that the one you shot out in front of the woods there?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that was
no. That's the most memorable buck you had. Isn't that the one you shot that went over to Farrell's and then?
Well, no, I shot one.
That was a different year.
No, I shot one opening day. Remember, we got like a foot of snow.
Yeah.
And I shot. That was a decent one. That was like an 8-point or something.
Nonetheless, we all cashed out that year.
Yeah,
it was just
that
a
was a good
phenomenal year.
Yeah. It's just the genetics and
the
quality
feed
of the
age,
deer and
I think the herd is managed well.
And we've been more selective too. I mean, I've been hunting out there 25 years, and after I got out of the military, I kind of reconnected with hunting again, and I really got into archery hunting. So I wasn't passing much up. I just wanted to shoot a buck with a bow. So I probably went on a stretch anytime a buck came in front of me. I shot it, and I was getting a buck every year, but they could be a 6-point to a 4-point to a 8-point. Didn't really matter to me. And then, probably 8 years ago, I started getting more selective. So, we've kind of like slowed down on the deer, and they're getting bigger and bigger. We were getting more selective, and you're seeing the product of that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, now I'm like, we're seeing bucks like you see in Naples. We always thought Naples always had the big deer, but now in Lima we have the big deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because it's nice when you have the ability to pass, like pass some smaller bucks. Like, I'm going to see more.
Yeah.
I'll let those go. Because in the end result, I was thinking about it earlier, last day or two, like, ultimately, I want venison in my freezer.
Right. So I am. I want the freezer full. That's the main thing I'm after.
Yeah, and I want a good quality of a deer, deer to be around me where I can hunt. But, I'm a little selfish that way. I'm not willing to go dry anymore. Like, in the past, like, I wouldn't shoot anything unless it was super big. But, and that's great. I mean, everybody has their own choices what they want to do. I still want something nice, but, I would rather shoot a mature deer or a doe and put in there. And I think it's just gotten where you have more opportunity to shoot a mature deer. And it's good to shoot doe. It's healthy for the herd. I just brought that picture up, Sean, you showed earlier. I passed so many small bucks that one season. And then the muzzle loader, I was out hunting trying to get a doe, and Chris, you were walking around.
Oh, it was your birthday.
It was my birthday. It was the only time I was able to hunt on my birthday, December 22nd.
Yeah, it was like the last day of muzzleloader. And I came out after work, and I was pushing everything to you. I was pushing
trying to make
thickets.
shit move, yeah.
And that one deer came by you, and you shot it, and that was it was a small buck, but we had a blast.
It came by and it was a one-antlered spike, and I thought it was a doe, and I'm like, my God, I passed so many bucks, and I ended up shooting
A one-antlered spike.
spike on the last day of season. It was like, God,
Better than tag soup.
Yeah. It was good. It was kind of a funny, ironic thing, So,
well, it was a great story, great memories from that, and I think it's really cool that we all cut together.
Yeah.
So when like, if you got that deer and then you just took it to the butcher, right? We wouldn't get it's almost re-celebrated when it comes into the shop.
Oh, totally.
Like, hey, everybody, we're cutting deer Tuesday night, right? And Tim's got a big, and the pictures are out there, so everybody's excited to see it.
Yeah.
And then the deer's in the shop, and we're gonna skin it or cape it out if you're gonna mount it or whatever.
Right.
Everybody's getting pictures, and so it. You said it one time, I think maybe not last year, but the year before, but like the cutting of the deer is almost as big as the deer hunting. Like it's your social connection. It's almost like sad now when it ends.
Right.
Because we all go our separate ways and we're busy all spring, summer.
Yep.
And fall comes and we start cutting deer and likely that once a week we're all going to get together.
Yeah.
And we have a night together. We got cheese and crackers, and you come in with your little Wegmans bag, and you got your little portable bar and your cheese cutter. And I do.
Yes, I do.
I got pizzas and everything, and so we're having pizza. And
well, we do. It goes on for a couple months, and all of us reconnect again. And
it's like September, October. Well, really gets going in October, November, December, and January.
And we get together, and
It's a
we have
blast.
our little hunting group, and every Tuesday or whatever day it is, we get together. We celebrate whatever we shoot. We talk. We tell about the near misses, the bucks we saw the weekend before, the one you almost shot. You discuss all
It's a
these.
blast listening. Like you hear all the conversations going on about what you see.
And then what's fun is the excitement of what next weekend is going to bring.
Yeah.
So we all leave it. And a lot of us hunt in different areas. So in our meat cutting group, we actually probably hunt in 3 different areas.
Yeah.
Between Rick and then,
Right, so we got Bristol, Naples, Lima.
Yeah, so you got.
And then Avon now. Jimmy's in
and
Avon.
now Jimmy's hunting Avon a lot over on the farm. So we come together and all these groups tell our stories and, we all support each other. And then we're like, hey, man, hopefully good luck this weekend. And you go back out and you try it again, And then the next Tuesday you meet up and it's like, you'll never believe it. I saw that buck. And either I missed him or I shot him and the arrow went right over his back or,
I was just thinking about, different areas. I'm like, well, Geneseo.
I
I shot 2 years in a row. I think it was 2 years in a row. I shot a buck the last day of season, that Friday, the last day. But then I was thinking about, then I shot a deer with the muzzle loader, and the second weekend of season, I think it was 8 or 9 point in my redneck play school.
Oh my!
Whatever hut you want to? I forget what I called it.
Your playhouse, your redneck.
And Sean and I were hunting, and I got that new blind.
Yep.
I got the new Millennium blind, the buck hut, which was new to our property this year, so we could actually hunt like in the rain. It didn't matter. And it's a 2-person blind, so Sean and I were in there. And you're like, screw this. There was that playhouse you and Tyler put up. And you actually texted me and Sean. You're like, I just shot a buck. And
you're like, no way. Come on.
It was
shot one out
unbelievable.
of it.
Unbelievable. I'm like, well, I'm out of the rain. It was funny. We had it up on hay bales. You climb in, had one chair. I'm like, this is bad. It's comfortable.
It's not meant for a 6'2" person, but it is now.
Yeah. I actually shot it like it was a 9 point out of it. I'm like, oh, my God, I just shot it. Yeah. Redneck play school. Hunting blind, whatever I call it, I forget. But
color pink and cream.
We spray painted it. We spray bombed it.
Oh, did you spray paint it?
Yeah, spray bombed it. Yeah. Too fun.
So the best wasn't it like the last day of the season last year, Chris, that you shot a muzzleloader over there?
It was the last weekend of muzzleloader.
And you're sitting in a folding chair.
Yeah, I got burned out on my property. I kept waiting for that big buck and kept waiting and waiting. And I saw a ton in archery, and then gun season kind of dried up, and I was waiting for a larger buck. And when you reach that frustration point, and I think it was
when anger sets in.
Yeah, when anger sets in, and I think it was the last weekend, and Tim's like, hey, he extended the offer. He's like, if you want to come to Geneseo, this land I hunt, he goes, you're welcome to join me. And finally I was like, because you don't want to leave your spot. And finally I'm like, you know what? Screw it. That Sunday, it was literally the last weekend, I went with Tim, and he goes, I got a really good spot. It looks up this lane on this hillside. It's all thick woods and brush, but there's a lane that runs up the hill. And he takes me there in the dark, and he puts a little chair there, and I lean against the tree. And holy shit, I'm seeing deer left and like as soon as it gets light out, I'm looking uphill like 150 yards away, and I see like 5 or 6 doe crossing this lane left to right. But I couldn't get my gun up quick enough, and it's I didn't have a shooting stick. And I'm like, man, that's a long ways away. But they crossed so quick, and Tim was in a tree stand south of me, a few hundred yards. So we're sitting there, and then I have a group of doe come from behind me, and they run by, and once again I can't get a shot. But I'm like, man, there's deer everywhere here. Yeah. But I kept looking uphill, and I said, there's that one spot where I saw the deer this morning cross. There's a trail there. So I saw a sapling in front of me, that, with a V shape, and I cut it down. I made a shooting stick, and I pushed it into the ground. I had my muzzleloader and the shooting stick, and I was aiming uphill at that exact spot. And I'm like, if a deer comes out, I'm gonna be perfect. It was like I figured it was 120 yards. And then probably like 10 in the morning, Tim texts me, and he's like, hey, there's a buck on the move. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, it's a decent buck. And I go, which way is it heading? And he's like, it's heading south towards you. So I got ready, and I just like kept staring uphill, and I had my muzzleloader ready. And after 20 minutes, a doe burst out on that trail way up above me, and she ran down. And I'm like, and she stopped like 60 yards away, and I'm like, no, I'm not shooting this doe. I think there's a buck coming.
Yeah.
And I waited, and the doe ran off, and I'm basically looking through my scope up there. I had it perfect, and then I just see a buck step out, and I just see antlers, and I'm like, oh, that's a decent buck.
Yeah.
And I took my shot, and he just like ran off it, to the right, and I was like, man, I feel good about this. And Tim came over, and sure enough, we went up there, and it was probably 120 yards.
I was going to say, it was probably 120. We paced it off.
It was a long way.
It was a long shot uphill. And I don't think it went 40 yards.
Oh, no, really?
50. Not much blood out of the
not much
right
blood,
off the bat, but
he was laying there dead, and then he exceeded way above my expectations.
That was a nice buck.
That was
a beautiful buck.
A nice 8-point. So you never know. You switch up spots, he goes somewhere else.
Well,
you just don't know.
I don't fault you for it, but it was so hard to walk away from that blind. I mean, we saw deer
so many
every single hunt.
Where'd you guys
may
get
have been
that
the same
blind?
deer, but it was over at the Huntworks.
That's right. Yeah, that was provided. It was a Millennium, right?
Millennium at the Huntworks. Yeah, they did a great job.
109 Dispatch Drive in East Rochester.
It's East Rochester.
Yeah, from the Dunnigans, hardworking some bitches they are.
Shameless plug.
They're great.
yeah. No, they provided.
They got more. They got more, and I know you got one this year.
I
did
Tim's
my birthday in December.
Yeah,
and I'm next in line.
Rachel bought me one.
Your wonderful wife got you one of those Millennium buck huts.
Where did she find that?
At the Huntworks, 109 Dispatch Drive.
Oh, that's the same place?
No way.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, the cool thing about the Huntworks is I went on YouTube and I researched these buck huts, and I was like, I really like how they're affordable. They're around $800 or $850, and it's a soft blind, but it's really well made. And all the YouTube videos, the reviews were great. But then I went over to their store, and outside, like in their yard there, they had probably, I don't know if it was 4 or 5, 6 blind setup varieties, but they had that exact blind. I was able to climb up in it, because before you purchase something like
that's
that.
That's a big purchase.
Yeah,
sure.
You can purchase the 2 chairs that go in it, and the chairs go in it and they swivel and stuff. So, it was a big deal to be able to purchase that blind and review it. And then once I got in it, I'm like, the window option.
We hunted some days that I never would have sat 2 minutes.
That's what David. He's not on the mic, but he was just saying.
He gets
with the
cold
condition
really
he has with his fingers and feet too, right?
Feet, yeah.
That he would not be able to hunt if it wasn't, for
that
blind like
yeah.
that.
We had a day where the fog rolled in for 1 hour that you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you.
And
but
the rain,
we sat it out.
Rain,
oh yeah,
rain.
Pouring.
Remember we watched that little buck in the rain.
That's the night I shot the coyote.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's a game changer when you can get out of the
and
weather.
And then we had the heater. We could turn on the buddy heater.
But we still saw.
We saw deer every time.
4 or 5 deer that day, yeah.
We saw deer almost every time in that blind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So. But, sometimes you got to move around and try different things. And
sure.
Tim was nice enough to, offer me to go to Geneseo. And, it was like the 4th quarter. I ended up getting a nice buck. So.
That was a heck of a nice buck.
Yeah.
We were looking at it, and you were talking. You and I were talking tonight as we were at the banquet.
Yeah, I never entered it, but I looked.
But the top muzzleloader buck for New York last year,
was like a
you
108.
you beat that out by 10 inches.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the top
or 20 inches. You were in the 120s,
I think
I swear.
I was 120s. And,
Yeah.
Yep.
And the top buck for New York State that they had there, and it was a beautiful deer, but I think it was like a 108.
108.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy cow, I got to start entering my deer. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, it's funny. Get it scored, get it entered.
Yeah, I'm going to get it scored and see
Yeah.
how it works.
Well,
out.
it was interesting how many people were right around us from New York State. The guys from Dansville were right there. What's the name of their shop that they have there?
It's DWS Outdoors.
Yeah, DWS
Yep.
Outdoors.
Brett
So-
Walker and his wife. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their kids, it was
So-
hilarious. Their kids shot beautiful bucks.
Yeah,
I mean,
the son got 2, and the
son
daughter
got
was,
2, and I'm talking. I talked to him before I left, and I'm like, the kid's like, yeah, I'm like 14 or 15, and the deer they shot were beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I know. I'm totally impressed.
But they were there, and then there was the people that were sitting with us that had accidentally picked the wrong table there. They were from Cazenovia.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, were they?
So, but yeah, and then there was somebody else there. But I was surprised how many people. Oh, the guy from from Wayne County.
The guy from Wayne County who had the top non-typical.
216
inches.
Yeah,
that buck.
ridiculous.
And that buck had a broken drop tine.
Yeah.
It came off its brow. He showed me where it was, and he said it was, obviously he never got to measure, but he's guessing it was 6 to 8 inches.
Sure.
Come off
So
the
he
brow
said-
tine?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, off the base.
Wow.
It came right off the base, and you could see. He showed me, and you could feel it, and it was 3/4 of an inch around. And he said that came out and pointed straight down, and the deer must have broke it off when he was rubbing or fighting or something.
Yeah.
And he said that if he had that, it would have put him, in the 220s.
Oh.
That buck was insane.
220. That buck was
That buck-
crazy.
Yeah, it was sick.
That
That
guy-
buck was less than a mile from my house.
Yeah.
That's sickening.
Yeah, from Wayne County, that buck was huge.
Ugh.
Huge.
Well, for any,
Any-
For any-
you get over. So the buck that was next to it,
For
the
any
typical out of Maine, that was 177.
Yep.
The 8-point?
That
Yeah, and they had it was an older guy that had
Yeah.
shot it,
Yeah.
and they showed him, like, they had his picture there with
Yeah.
the deer, and you're like, oh, that's a nice buck, beautiful shape.
Sure.
I got a picture of it because they put because he won, it was the largest typical
Yep.
Yeah.
out of the Northeast. And then this other guy, let me see, I want to make sure I get his name right. This other guy, Jason Wing from Wayne County, he shot the largest non-typical in the Northeast.
Yep.
And so the typical was out of Maine, and that was 177 inches.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, I walked up there because I wanted to see this Jason Wings buck, and I wanted to meet him.
But
But they put the two of them together and took a picture.
The picture of the 8-point, it didn't look that
my
big in the
God.
picture.
Yeah.
But seeing it in person was
You
huge.
walk up and see it, it was like, oh my God, it was huge.
Even Hercules, you can tell he's big in the picture, but
Yeah.
nothing compares to when you get in person.
Yeah.
I've seen him in person 3-4 times,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you get there today, and I'm staring at it, and I'm like, there's no.
So today
I don't
was-
remember
yeah.
it that big.
Yeah, and I think we should, anything else you want to add about the story or of Hercules? I think that,
I guess.
I mean, just a great experience, and it was,
Yeah,
it was
honestly,
so cool
just-
that you got to see him alive, Chris.
Yeah.
We got pictures
It's-
of him.
I mean, a lot of times it happens where like a large buck will wander into your area during the rut or through pressure.
Yeah,
You get a shot at it, and it's all good. It's hunting. It is what it is. But to know a buck is there, and I had my muzzleloader in my hands and saw him the end of the previous season, and then Sean had pictures of him on trail cam right up where we parked our tractor to brush hog, and Chris is like, I'm out goose hunting. You went by me. I got video. I'm like,
he
holy
lives
crap.
there. Yeah,
This is a hell of a buck. And then you actually see him come out in front of you.
Yeah.
And, Jimmy Farrell had
and he
him
was
on
way over
pictures.
at Jimmy Farrell's. He's lucky he
Yeah.
didn't succumb to Jimmy Farrell and his
Miles
I know.
away, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
I mean,
it's all like everything came
Jimmy's
together.
a
It's just,
cold-blooded, killer, man.
he's a
He's
killer.
kid's a
He's
good
a
hunter.
it's really, it's like everything came together and it worked. I just feel, I hate to sound cliche, but I feel blessed. I feel lucky. I feel fortunate. Like you got to be out there. You got to be in the tree. You got to be a good
Got to
shooter.
be in the game.
You got to be in the game, and it's not taking anything away from that, but then to be, recognized. Like I'm there as much to recognize the deer as much as me. Like I'm fortunate. I was there to be, put it together. But it's even today, like I said, like going up to that deer. Hercules when he's on the ground, it was like emotional. Even today, it was like, holy crap, this is like, I don't know, it's just weird. This will probably never happen again.
Sure.
I'll never have this happen again.
Yeah, Sean and I were talking about that.
Like-
This may be we all came here
It's the pinnacle of the Harvey.
because, you were being
Yeah.
honored for that buck.
But
I don't know, like, maybe we'll come again because now we're like, oh, it ain't that bad
Yeah,
to
I'll
drive.
come-
It was a good time.
yeah,
But
I would
We
come
wouldn't
again
have been
for-
here if it wasn't for that, and that brought
Sure.
us all together, you
Yeah.
know. And to be here to support you as you receive that
It's-
that honor,
Yeah, it's weird because like I don't want to like when I first got, I'm like I want to tell people I don't want to be like, hey, come see me get an award. I'm like,
Look what
hey,
I
look at
shot.
me. Yeah, I didn't. So I really struggled with that, honest to God, because I didn't want to be that way. But I'm like,
Yeah.
and I thought about it. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go because this probably won't ever happen again. And it's a super cool buck. We shot it on what I look at is family
the
property.
family
I grew
farm. Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? People are going to be bummed if I don't tell them. So I'm like, hey, just so you know, I sent out a text. I'm doing this. Rachel and I are going. If you guys want to go, that's cool. But I didn't want it to be, like, hey, come look at me,
Yeah.
But
I kind of felt a lot of pressure to come. I think
you're a dick.
I had shit to do today, but you were kind of like, hey, come look at me.
I had to
Chris and
work,
I were
but-
driving up here. We're like, do you know what a good day this would have been? Like, I'm in the middle of cutting logs,
I could've-
right?
I
And
could've
it's the
re-
best day we've had, and I don't know when. Chris is like, I got work to do on the deck.
No humidity, just beautiful.
It was
weather.
beautiful, but we're like,
Nice
we got to
breeze.
be there for Tim because it's like
We're like, this is a big moment. We got to be there. This is it
Yeah.
is, and I'm joking, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And
Well, you're not joking about all the nice work we could have got done.
Oh yeah,
Work
I
was
mean-
really counting
Honestly,
on me,
I could have got a shit ton of stuff done too. But I go, it's probably never going to happen again.
I know.
Like should have.
I know,
The
you're getting
nicest deer
recognized.
of that year. I'm like, I got to go do it. I'm
Yeah.
like, I talked to Rachel and
So
you
I
guys.
told
I'm like,
Paul
I'm
I got to
going.
go. I can't have
I'm going.
my brother receive this. And
There's certain memories
not go.
of deer in general that are just embedded in your brain, but
Yeah.
this will just forever be seared in your mind.
Yeah, that's
You'll
it's
never
like-
forget it.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have a chance and harvested deer on our property that we hunt. I look at it's family property that we grew up on. We didn't own it till recently, but now we own it. But we had permission to be there. We hunted it. We worked it, raised.
Yeah, we raised all our crops there.
Yeah,
grew
we
up there.
duck hunted. We did
did a
Dad
lot
used to
there.
take us out like ice skating on the pond, and we did all sorts of stuff out there. But that is you're killing a caliber or of a deer that people pay to go hunt in Kansas or Ohio and now that the quality of the deer has improved and they're in your backyard now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still smart. They're still tough to hunt. Like, it was, he got brought out because there was two doe, one or both are in heat, so then that's their weakness. So,
Yeah.
but
And he had a broken leg, and he took the path of least resistance,
Yeah.
and ended up in your lap.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all cool, It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it was a win for all of us,
Oh yeah.
It was a win for all of us that had been hunting that land, for years and years. So I mean, yeah, you shot the deer, but all of us, David, Sean, Joe, all of us who have been hunting Briggs Road for
Oh, yeah.
years, it was a victory. We're like, this is an exceptional buck.
Well, if you look
That is,
back at our lifetime of harvesting bucks on that farm,
Right.
growing up,
For the longest time,
they were all like scrub bucks. It would be
they
like
were-
there would be a
goofy 6
a
points.
goofy left side, right side, like this
Yeah,
one
for-
went straight out. This one,
Yeah.
It was,
And
and
it
there
was
were
still
scrub
goofy, but it
bucks.
was the craziest goofy you've ever seen in
Yeah.
your life.
yeah. I mean, I shot a 4-point. It's like an antelope. It came up way high. I mean, I had a 4x2. I think Mike shot a 5x3. It's
just
like
crazy junk bucks. you
Yeah,
know?
there was you used to always say you're like Lyman's got terrible genetics. Like we would laugh the bucks we'd shoot. We're like, man, can we just get a symmetrical buck?
I don't care if it's a 6-point. Just
I
give
know.
me something that's like.
And now we're finally getting to the point where now they look really good.
Yeah, it's
Well,
weird.
that buck I shot that year, that same one,
The one
2
you
weeks
shot was
before you.
beautiful.
Yeah, he was in the bachelor group in the same picture.
Yeah.
You had trail camera pictures of him on the backside of the pond. He was a beautiful buck.
Yeah.
And then Hercules came out. Like,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. It's tough. You make your choice. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I certainly wasn't going to pass on mine. But
No. Yeah.
So, Northeast Big Buck Club.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So what did everybody think about? I mean, the dinner and the event.
Yeah,
today?
why don't we go around the horn and get everybody's take on it? And I've always
we'd never been here before.
Never been. I've always seen you see that they're having it, and I thought, well, that would be cool to go to, and it really kind of mimicked the National Wild Turkey Federation things that we used to have such a presence at. That
Yep. Yeah.
With all the multiple raffles.
Yeah, Brian Godfried loved us, coming and bringing our wallets and going to town. So, but yeah, it was fun. So,
yeah,
what'd you guys think? I mean, it was
I thought it was nice.
Good.
I mean, I thought it was well run. They had the awards. They would do multiple awards per state, and then they would stop and there was tons of basket raffles. So, so for the listener, whoever's listening to this podcast, you could buy levels of tickets. You didn't have to buy anything. You would get in there, but anybody who's been to one of these things, you want to bring some cash with you, and most of us bought the $100 package, and you would walk up and buy this package that gave you, I don't know if it was 60 or 80 tickets for all there's tons of basket raffles. You could go around and basically put 10 tickets in one, basket or 10 in the other, and there would be, decoys, different things. But along with that came with 20 or 25 yellow tickets that were the final prize that was numerous handguns and rifles and
those. Those are the big ticket items.
The big ticket items.
Yeah.
And there was a table, and there was basically 10 people at each table, and you would sit there, and it was very organized. We sat all together at one table, and there was a couple from Connecticut there with us, and I thought it was fun. I mean,
where was the other couple from? Were they both from Connecticut or?
Oh, the other one, they might have been New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Oh, New Hampshire, yeah.
Yeah.
Thumb.
Man, did he shoot a buck, huh?
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get that mounted. He brought over it just like he
a Euro mount. Wasn't even on a plaque.
Wasn't even a Euro mount.
No, it's a skull. Just a cut the skull.
Do you know what the score was on that?
I think it was in the process for a mounting. But
okay, that
that's
makes
why I
sense.
was wondering if he was getting it mounted,
Oh,
and
that
he had
buck.
to get it from the taxidermist to bring
Dude,
it
that buck was beautiful. He brought over at the end of the night.
Oh
and
my
showed us.
God, mass, thick.
Yeah, that was a cool buck.
the G1's dipped in and then curved back out.
Yeah, the curvature and character of that rack was
Yeah.
that was an awesome buck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a cool guy.
Yeah, they were good people.
It was a cool event. I mean, all the raffles they had, and there was other raffles for pistols, and you could put in, and unfortunately, none of us really won anything. Bill did buy some nice stuff. He got that nice painting.
That stipple dot art. We're gonna color in for him later.
Got a black and white painting.
Yeah.
After we get done with the podcast, we have a few more drinks. We'll break out the crayons.
Get
We'll
some-
color it
yeah,
in.
we
We'll
got
fill
the
it in. It's a
Crayolas.
black and white now.
It's a little
boring.
bland. It's a little bland right now.
A little bland. Yeah. I think we can dress it up nicely.
Oh yeah.
We should give a shout out to Bill though. They did offer one table at the banquet. Out of the 40 tables, one of them could bid to upgrade their meal to surf and turf. And Bill,
I went to bat for you guys.
Bill got
man.
right out there. I think he
I was the first bid.
You were up to 2 or 250.
250, I think you were.
I had it
right?
at 200. Nobody's gonna bid against me.
You were the first until
That's
going
200.
once, going twice.
Yeah, the guy was way too slow.
I can
I know, what are you
taste
doing?
that savory shrimp and lobster.
I know.
Oh,
and then somebody's like 250. So or no, 2.25.
Yeah.
So I went 250.
And then it jumped up to.
And then somebody went above. I'm like, all right.
Someone ended up paying what, $450 for that?
I know. I'm like,
Yeah.
Nah,
okay.
I'm telling you, if you
Making
could
the
have
money
got it
back
for
on that.
250, right?
Now you got a deal, right?
There's 10 of us there. It's $25 a piece
I
upgrade.
know.
Yeah.
I tried, man. I tried. We'd had
I know.
steak and lobster and shrimp.
I know. Your stock.
And the guy next to me
your
was
stock
allergic
just
to
increased with that.
The guy next to me is allergic to shellfish, so I'd get all his
Oh my
lobster
gosh!
and
No
his-
way. That's cool.
Yeah.
Was your
I mean, it sucks for him, but
Oh
Yeah.
darn.
But
he gets the gout.
Yes.
what'd you think, Sean? I don't think you ever went to a
I've never been
National
to
Wild Turkey Federation.
Yeah, I've never
with
been
us, did you?
to either or. I didn't really know what to expect, but I knew the one reason I was there for to support my uncle. Is
Yeah.
that was a great achievement and a great moment for Lima, Briggs Road, Tim, just everything.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, tons of good bucks, but Hercules
Yeah.
definitely stood out among all of them. I don't care what some of them scored, but
So there was my take on it. I was like, I got to tell you, we used to go to them all the time, the National Wild Turkey Federation.
Yeah.
We had a blast. and we did well, right? I mean, we spent money, but we came home with a lot of prizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was looking at like that used to start at like I don't know 5:30 maybe.
Maybe like 3 or 4
p.m.
This one went long.
No, it was like dinner time, wasn't it? That used to start, and then by 10 o'clock you're done and out of there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this one they're like, oh, it's from 1 till 8. I'm like 1 till 8. That's 7 hours.
Yeah, I mean,
like I won't go to a family picnic for 7 hours. You
it
know?
was
I mean, that's
wow.
like
That's because they don't have alcohol and guns there.
True, it's very true.
You may want to edit that.
Don't
I
have
don't
gun
know.
raffles.
But I will say it went by quickly. It was well run. It was a lot of fun.
Honestly, I'm looking at the same. I'm like, it starts at 1. I'm like, all right, we'll get there at 1:30. Am I going to stay to 8? Well, yeah, we did, and it was pretty cool.
We were one of the last ones to leave.
They
Yeah.
even delayed it, and we still made it out before the time that we thought we were going to leave at, because they pushed it back. We thought we were going to get out at like 8:30, and we ended up leaving at 8.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
It's funny when to go. I should go get Hercules, get the deer, mount off the wall. It was like the only.
It's the last one.
It's the last deer on the wall.
It was the last one.
Well, I guess it's no trouble finding our deer, which that's fine. Stayed at the end.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty cool event.
Yeah, I thought they did a nice job with it.
Yeah, they did. It was
Well,
good.
let's see what David came from Boston.
I was going to say, we got to get David on. So just so everybody knows while they switch mics, in the room with us, and I should have done this in the beginning. I apologize for that, but it is what it is. So we have myself, my brother Tim, who received the award, my brother Chris, who first spied Hercules, and then Sean, our nephew Sean, and Chris's boy, my nephew David,
Howdy, folks.
came up from Boston or Cambridge, right?
Yes, sir.
So you came in for the event, and we also have Rachel, Tim's wife, Rachel, with us. Rachel would just soon not join us on the podcast, but she's sitting here with big smile enjoying it.
Come on, we just didn't have another headset.
Yeah. So what'd you think, Dave?
I thought it was cool as hell.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, so I've been living in Cambridge for the past 4 years, and I go home. I hunt the family land whenever I can, but I don't know. It's something special to see the family recognized and all the dedication and efforts that are put in to hunting so close to where I'm at, So usually I guess nobody knows here on this podcast, but usually I'm the one making the drive.
Yeah, you do the journey.
Yeah,
the rest of us
right.
are like, oh, David's coming. He'll be here sometime tonight.
Oh, man, he's making the 5-hour drive, thanks.
Exactly. So usually I'm the one that's making the commute all the way back to New York State.
Either the Adirondacks or Naples or Lima or whatever.
Well, spot on. So usually I'm the one making the commute. It was really nice today to have the family coming towards Massachusetts, towards my home. And, I had the easy drive. Yeah. And that was a nice reverse of roles. Yeah. But at the same time, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's really nice to make hunting such a special thing to me, where it's something that I have to go out of my way to go do at this point in my life. And that brings a level of seriousness to it and a level of appreciation where when you are hunting, you really are in the moment and you want to be there. So that's kind of my thoughts on the general hunting and, the family appreciation for it. But, to see Tim be recognized for this deer was it was phenomenal. I had no idea that this Northeast Big Buck Club group was around. I didn't know that, bucks could be scored in this manner and recognized in this manner. So I thought it was pretty eye-opening, pretty great to see that the family could be recognized in this way, that bucks all over New England can be recognized in this way. I thought really highly of the event.
Yeah, it was impressive to see the deer from all over, Maine and Massachusetts and Connecticut and New Hampshire, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. There are some slammers out here.
Yeah.
I was talking to a couple guys that were from this area, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys get some big bucks out here.
It was funny,
but we get some big bucks around our way too. Sure. It used to be like everybody you had to go to the Midwest to get your big whitetails. Yep. Kansas, Iowa, right? Illinois, right? But I'm telling you what, they're right here.
Yes,
they are really, and I'll probably honestly never pay. I've enjoyed going on guided hunts, for bear, and moose or whatever and stuff, and even a couple of elk and whatnot. But
Sure.
for whitetail, I'll take a week off work and hunt around here.
Yeah.
Honestly, at home, there's so many opportunities here in Naples, Geneseo, Lima, all that stuff. Everywhere. I think there's tremendous bucks hiding everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, in everybody's backyard. You just got to put the time in. So.
And I'll be honest, it kind of surprises me. So, like, to a certain degree, it does surprise me where, for folks that don't know, I went to college in Vermont. I was ski racing there before I moved to Cambridge, Massachusetts to work in my career, which is science and biotechnology. When I was in Vermont, I would go out and hunt with some friends, and the bucks were just hard to come by. Really, just deer in general were hard to come by. It's an entirely different landscape than upstate New York, and I thought it was incredibly difficult. And then to see some of the bucks that were taken from Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, these states where I'm just not well acquainted with the hunting style. It was incredibly impressive. Just incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
It kind of blew my mind.
What was your first input on seeing the deer? I know you were away from home, but just to know that was on Briggs Road, where was your headspace?
Well, so I've been away for a couple of years now, obviously, and to see that caliber of deer taken on Briggs Road, that's kind of mind-blowing to me. We mentioned earlier in the podcast, like swamp bucks, atypicals, lopsided deer. Yeah. That's my impression of deer
Lima,
hunting
right?
home.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, one leg shorter than the other on a deer out there. Right? They're all like screwed up.
And that's if we even passed on them.
I know.
Yeah. Absolutely. So to see something so symmetrical, so
beautiful,
impressive, really, just an impressive buck.
Yeah.
That I think it's telling of like the land management, the food plots,
the herd management.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
the
crazy.
most beautiful
really
freak
telling.
I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said the most beautiful freak I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It should have been a swamp buck, but he grew up.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. He made
That's
it.
the product.
Grew up into the Mac Daddy.
Yes,
and
got that right.
I think it's telling too. I think it's indicative of the future.
Yeah.
That
So do I.
property.
I think New York's the new Ohio.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll tell you. I've said for a couple of years now. If you take look at Google Earth over that piece of property, and it is the only solid, dense area.
Yeah.
I mean, everything I think is just drawn there like a magnet now. It's gotten
Just with
better.
the cover and there's
Oh, my God.
there's ag, but there's also good heavy brush.
Yeah,
there's swamp.
You got two swamps, water sources, and it's thick, and it's
got everything you could want really
Yeah.
for habitat.
Oh, yeah.
And really, if you cross 15A and go to the other side over towards Danny Culberson's, it's the same way. He's got a large track over there. He doesn't own it all, but it abuts the south end of his property. But there is some nice ground, and even going over towards Jimmy Farrell and towards Chris, that whole area is really still pretty vast.
There's a lot of egg fields around us, but who owns the one and only chunk of woods? Us. So where are they going to bed? Where are they going to eat? Where are they going to sleep?
Which is
right
incredibly meaningful.
Yeah.
So you start to think about it, and it's like, well, the family's hunted this since the 1970s when it was a farm.
Sure.
When it was an active farmland.
Yep.
And then individual ownership, and we were hunting that with the atypical bucks. But now we're at a point where my brother, myself, my cousin Sean, we get to continue that tradition, and to see these bucks become bigger and bigger and bigger, and the genetics become better. That's pretty meaningful.
Yeah.
It's
you
kind
guys
of a
are like,
continuation.
wait a minute. We can get good deer here?
That's right.
Yep.
Oh, it is possible.
Right.
Yeah, it is possible.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
We just got to be selective, minus Joe, but
Yeah.
he'll weed them out. It's all right.
Yeah. Joe's just laying them down.
Hey, Joe has 5
Ground
days
down.
to make it happen. He puts 5 deer down.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right. I'll tell you what, though.
Joe has no problem sleeping at night.
No.
He's going to fill the freezer. He's going to kill a whole bunch of deer. Him and Phelps are going to butcher them, put them in the freezer, and he's going to go back to his submarine and dive deep,
Yes, sir.
Amen, brother.
Joey
You know what?
knows.
Joey
is-
No-Nose is back.
You know what? It's game over, though. It's game over when Joe comes back from the Navy.
Oh, it's scary.
Whenever I move back home,
Yeah.
and the two of us are out there,
Yeah.
it's game over.
I don't know. Will we be selective harvesting or,
To an extent.
You never know.
You get rid of the
so.
goofy racks. Yeah. Get them out of the herd.
I think so. I think Joe and I have both kind of grown out of our shoot everything phase.
Not yet.
Well,
Not yet. Joe's
I
got a
think
little
one of
way
you
to go.
has.
I was going to say, I don't.
Joe passed up. He did hold off this.
So
Yeah,
he
Joe's
passed
grown
one
into
deer.
it.
He passed one.
Joe was
passed
so passive this year, it wasn't even funny, and I was
Really?
actually baffled by it. He was texting me every day, like, Sean, this deer's right in front of me, 30 yards. Should I just shoot it? I'm like,
You remember when he shot Cousin Eddie?
Oh, who could forget?
It was like we we didn't put, like at our property, it's like, you shoot whatever you want, right?
All right.
But this one year, we had this one buck, and he provided entertainment for every hunter on the property. Remember him, Cousin Eddie? Did you ever see him? I don't know.
Well, I saw him after he was gutted. Yeah.
So, but this deer would
Joe
like,
shot him.
like everybody be like texting each other, how are you making out? Oh, Cousin Eddie just came by, Oh, yeah, he's headed your way. Here comes Cousin Eddie, right? So everybody's seeing this deer.
Yeah.
And then, so I told everybody, Mike and I were like, hey, don't shoot Cousin Eddie. He's just an idiot.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yep.
he doesn't know enough not to walk out in the middle of the day and stand in front of every one of our tree stands.
Yep.
Right? So we're like, just, Cousin Eddie gets a pass. So Cousin Eddie, Joe's in my opening day spot. Cousin Eddie comes up the hill after visiting like 3 other tree stands.
Is that
Nobody
like
shoots him.
Thanksgiving or something?
Yeah. So he comes up and he lays down right below Joe, and Joe's got to stare at him for the morning. And then Joe said, I did so good for the first couple hours. And then all of a sudden I was like,
Well,
screw it. And he pulls up, he's like, if you're going to lay there, I'm going to shoot you. So he opens up on him. Remember that? It was
Well, if you ever seen Game of Thrones, it's kind of like the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
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 wedding.
Yeah.
Joe's like, okay, that deer's off limits, off limits, off limits. Screw it. I'm going after and he starts shooting. I come down, I'm like, how'd you guys make out? Joe's like, Uncle Bill, I shot Cousin Eddie. I'm like, the one deer that's off limits, you shoot him. He's like, he tempted me. He tempted
laid
me.
there.
He laid there. I had to shoot him.
And honestly, in pretty brutal fashion.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a massacre. It was a massacre.
If you get a perfect broadside at 30 yards laying down, you got to take it.
You take it. That's just what you do. It's just what you do.
Care how big you are, right?
Oh, Joey knows he's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
So, the kind of the continuation of the family tradition of all these, hunting stories and everything is that, my brother Joe and I, we're both incredibly excited to be back home, closer to the family land, closer to the tradition, closer to, hopefully the many good years left of, family hunting that we have. And, I can speak for Joe on this matter. We're both excited. We're both excited for the next 10, 15 years of, just
times.
good hunting, good family time,
Absolutely.
good hunting, we're both really excited for
Yeah.
it.
And we got the next generation coming, with Jimmy's got 2 boys and Billy's got,
Yeah.
2 kids. And, so next thing you know, we'll have the kids up there too. And so,
Yep.
yeah, keep it going, right?
Yep.
I think I can speak for the whole Lyman crew. We're not looking for giants, but if they happen to stumble across us, we're
Yeah,
going to
that's
put
right.
them
Yeah, we're glad to take them.
That's right.
Yeah.
If not, 6 point will do. 5 point, whatever.
Absolutely.
Well, what are we missing? Anything?
No,
Tim,
no,
what
I
was
guess.
your take on, you're pleased with the banquet and everything?
Yeah, I was. I had to. If I'm going to honestly critique, I would have liked them to see a little bit more. The banquet was great. A little more information, like have your deer head between this and that. I'm very particular on details.
Agreed.
Because he said, if you could have your deer head here by 11:45. So I'm sitting here all morning. I'm like, by 10, I'm like, hey, I'm here. You want my deer head? Like, yeah, bring it down. A little more detail on that stuff. But that's me being picky. But that was all the stuff is somebody's bringing a head, an amount, being part of it. But I'm very, I guess I'm more detailed oriented and picky than I thought. But once the whole banquet got going, it's fantastic. I love the way they had the tickets packages set up and the raffles, and they had good food. They had 2 bars. They had stuff going. It was a lot of fun. I'd gladly come back again. I recommend it to anybody else.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
I feel the same way. I told Chris, I said I'd come back again in a heartbeat. Just even if nobody's being honored, just to be a part of it.
I totally would too, just to support and 'cause, the Northeast Big Buck Club is entirely, and this I knew that, but they said it again. It's entirely volunteer based.
Yeah.
Nobody's paid, nobody gets a penny. It's their own time. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes into this thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
very cool. And again, the last thing I want to say from my perspective was, it was so cool to have the opportunity to harvest a buck that I got. I'm so grateful and thankful. And it was like borderline emotional today, even get that award. Like, holy crap, I don't know. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Like, very fortunate, I guess I feel, lucky. And, so it was cool.
Yeah, well, you don't take those things for granted, and it's good that you don't.
Yeah. And it's a big deal. I mean, there was probably only 4 or 5 people from New York State who were here today.
Yeah.
So that's quite an honor when you think about it. I mean, it's not like there was 25 or 30 people from New York. I mean, there's only so many categories, and you were included in that category. And it's a big state. There's a lot of people in New York that shoot beautiful bucks. So it was, it is a big honor for you to be recognized.
Yeah, it was cool. I appreciate it. It was, I'd highly recommend it. It was cool. I'd come back again.
Yeah, I would too. I'd come back in a heartbeat.
That's my take.
And do it
Same
again
here.
just to be a part of it.
Yep.
And to not only, you see the deer, but you celebrate the other hunters that are being honored, but also, it's just a good time. It was a great meal. The venue was beautiful.
Yeah.
There was a lot of space. It was. I thought it was well done. Very well done.
Yeah, me
and
too.
it's not a bad drive. I mean, we're coming from Rochester. You can get still like another hour and a half, 2 hours farther away in New York if you're Chautauqua County or something. But for the most part, we had a long commute.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it was 4.5 hours. We're here.
Yeah.
And this is Northeast hunting at the highest level. You're seeing the finest examples of Northeast, New England, New York hunting at the very highest level, the finest bucks taken. And whenever you see something done at the highest level, it kind of expands your horizons.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It kind of like you can imagine yourself in the place of these individuals who are harvesting incredible bucks. And I think whenever you see something done at that high of a level, you start to imagine yourself in that place, right? And it becomes very tangible, it becomes very doable. There's a lot of variability in hunting, as we all know. But you can start to imagine how, land management will play a factor, how, lineage and time and just effort will play a factor in getting these larger bucks. So it was an absolute honor and joy to be there, but also to just imagine yourself in that place and to see, the excellence displayed so evidently from the entire Northeast.
Yeah, it was amazing.
You can really start to imagine yourself,
And one of the best things is all of us being together. And I'm sorry that Mike couldn't be here. He's for personal reasons he had to stay back. But I couldn't help but think of Dad today. And how his whole life all he wanted to do was shoot a big buck.
Yeah.
And in the era that Dad hunted, really wasn't any,
No.
I mean, you can't say the one name, but there was, everybody shot 1.5-year-old bucks.
Oh, yeah.
They had a 3-inch horn, you killed them.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
he shot a couple of nice 8 points, but they weren't.
They were 1.5-year-old 8 points.
Yeah, they're nice 8 points, but they were, So
but I was just thinking, I bet he was looking down today, very proud.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
All of us boys being together and nephews being here, and the family being together.
So it's a good family tradition. It really is.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
and we could have stayed home and done our work. We joked about it, but it's important to us to be here for you. You're being honored, and we want to be a part of that. So
that's really cool. I really appreciate it because it's a lot for everybody else to travel 4.5 hours away, or even David an hour and a half away. And, so it's cool.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank
Great
you.
time.
Thank all you
same here.
guys.
Congratulations, Tim.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. It's cool.
And in 7 weeks,
starts again.
It starts again. We're going to have September early season doe only rifle. And I have proclaimed that I shall kill a doe in September this year.
Bill has announced he will shoot a doe, and
then I can just focus on my 2 bucks. What's that?
He has spoken.
I've spoken. I'm gonna sit in my Banks blind, with a charcuterie tray.
There you go.
And I'll have my cell phone on. And I'm gonna pick a nice big mature dough, and I'm gonna take her out. Then I'm gonna take it down, put it in the cooler. And,
honestly, that's the way to do it.
Every
kill under your belt, and
because I'm like, I'll kill a doe later. When I'm out there bow hunting during 15th of October.
No, you're waiting for a buck. You don't want to shoot a doe.
I'm like, I don't want to shoot that doe because I don't want to be out there kneeling there, gutting her, and a buck comes along.
Yep.
Or every doe could be leading a buck behind it.
Right.
Exactly. And that's honestly the way I think.
My brother-in-law, Al Mack, Big Al, he says you shoot the does first, you're going to get a better rut. Because you got fewer does, you got more competition, the bucks are going to be
they're going to be on the move. Yep.
Amen, brother.
So, amen.
Well, we'll have to do don't forget, Tim and I are going on our big elk hunt in September. We're going out to Colorado. So Tim's got a bow tag, and I've got a muzzleloader tag. So we'll have to do a podcast after that elk hunt, and hopefully tell you about
the elk hunt. Maybe talk a little bit about what you're doing and
the preparations.
Yeah, I'm psyched. It sounds like a great time. You got a good spot you're going, and
we're going to the South San Juan, which is part of the Rio Grande National Forest in southern Colorado, and we're not far from New Mexico, so we're literally at the southern portion of Colorado. But we've scoped the area. I've hunted there before. I got friends who have hunted numerous times there, and we're just super excited.
So you're going to stick close to him? He was telling me that he's got mouth calls, he's got bugle. Bugle tube.
Yeah.
He's getting all this stuff from Phelps Games calls. Top of the line stuff.
Yeah.
And he's practicing every day, and he's studying. So, I don't know, if I were you, I would just work on my shooting and then stay close to him.
I probably will, because I think he's got the bugling down. I'm still working on good cow calls. I've got, I ordered 3. I've got 3 more coming. I'm not happy with them. I'm trying to be, there's a podcast about being a good asset to your hunting partner.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a boat anchor. I want to be an asset.
That's
right.
Well, my goal, my dream elk hunt, if I could, I'm going for, I'm going to have a muzzleloader tag, but honestly, my dream would be to call in a nice bull for Tim to shoot with his bow.
Yeah.
And
if he duffs a shot, you back him up with a muzzleloader.
Yeah, I get a muzzleloader. Who cares?
Right.
But I've listened. Both of us have listened to hours of podcasts from Jason Phelps on what's it called, The Cutting Edge, which is part of Meat Eater, and then there's Cody Rich has his elk hunt podcast. So I'm both of us are deeply immersed in elk.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I dream about when I go to sleep. That I think about it when I wake up. Of tactics, we've studied maps. I've been there before, so now, even though we're looking at the maps and Onyx and Google Earth, I've actually, I've been there, so I know what it looks like. But we've come up
which helps immensely. You start to know the area a little bit.
Yeah, we've come up with day 1 plan, day 2, day 3 alternate plans of things. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, good for you.
When you go at something from a place of knowledge,
and David
you're going
was there.
at it as a place of strength.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're well prepared. And like Dad just said, we've been there before.
David was there last time
before.
Yeah, we got into a herd of elk, and I did not prepare last time, and I knew how to cow call, and we had numerous elk bugling, and David was there, and the other guy Sam was there, but we reached the stage where I didn't know what the next step should be. I didn't know what to do, and that bothered, and I didn't know how to bugle that good, so I was afraid to bugle. And I'm like, I'm never going to let that happen again.
You got to know how to be a closer.
Yeah, you got to close the deal.
Yep.
So
close the deal.
We're excited. Tim and I both are super excited.
Yep. Listening, running the call every morning on the way to work, on the
you
way
are
back.
Too?
Yeah, Tim is too. Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I got diaphragm calls. I'm just haven't got good at the bugle yet that I know of, but working on it. And
so you're no boat anchor.
Try not to be.
All right. Well, we'll talk more about
both of you.
I look forward to having you guys on and hear more about the elk hunt, and hopefully before you go out, we'll get some details on prep and everything, and talking about getting ready and what your packs look like. Now you're staying in a cabin, but we'll get into all that. It'd be nice to do one before and after.
Let's do one in August. We'll do one before we go out.
Do August, late September, or late August, and whatever. If you want to do one after one, tell you how we missed.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, I think that's a wrap. Thank you all for jumping on with me and having a good conversation about our first Northeast Big Buck Club Awards Banquet. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Always a good time spending time with you guys. So
Yeah.
thanks for coming along, and thanks for getting on with us. So
Yeah.
in the meantime, in 7 weeks, we'll be feeding them.
Feeding them.
Sounds
Feeding 'em.
good.
Feeding them.
Stay blessed.